Hey everyone, I'm here with you today because the Little School of Big Change opens in just 26 days, which I can't believe. 26 days is kind of like Christmas for me. I'm like a little kid. I get so excited. And as you may know, if you've been around a little bit, I run the school twice a year, only twice each year, in the fall and in the spring. So it's a big deal. This is your chance to kind of really go through this amazing course with so much support and guidance and community baked into it. It's amazing. And it's a chance to really set aside, how things look, how they've been going, how you think life works, because we all have our own theories about how we think life works, and to really kind of set all that aside and be fresh and open and see yourself and your habits and how you work, where your experience comes from in a brand new way. It's no exaggeration at all to say that by the end of the 6-week course, like, you will be seeing things in an incredibly different way. You'll be feeling life, experiencing life in a different way. And I say that because over 1,000 people, almost 2,000 people have gone through the course, and there's so many stories and case studies and just so much experience of seeing how a little guidance through this starts to just wake things up. Sometimes it's a gigantic waking up in 6 weeks. Sometimes it's just a little crack is formed, but that's okay, because once that crack is formed, it keeps on spreading. So what I want to do in the lead up to the school opening in just 26 days is share with you some of the key insights, some of the key lessons really that we go through in the school, and some of the major insights that people have had as they're going through this. And so I'm here to share the first one today, and it is that our habits are a sign of our health and well-being. Now, I know that sounds crazy, sounds insane, like, what? My habits are proof that I'm not okay, is the way most of the world sees it, right? And of course, I mean, that makes so much sense. Our habits, addictions. By habits, I mean mental, emotional habits too. So anxiety and worry and overthinking everything and all of that, anything we're caught up in, it just looks like such solid proof, not even evidence, but proof that we need fixing, that there's something wrong with us, and that we're not okay. And it's the complete opposite. Complete opposite. So let me start to open this up a little bit. We get caught up in our experience. By we, I mean every human on earth, right? All 7.5 billion of us. We're going through life, and sometimes we feel super light and open and free, and we're just in the moment and all is well. And other times, not so much. We start to feel bogged down and weighed down and restrictive, and it feels like there's a lot going on in our heads and through our bodies and all of that. Now, that is so perfectly normal and human and safe and no big deal. It's just how life works, right? It's what being human is all about. Sometimes we're in this more open place. Other times we're flooded with heavy, weighed down experience that feels very personal. That's what our mind does with it, is we feel badly, we feel heavy, and our mind says, oh, it's because of this, or you're feeling this way and this is why, or this is what's going to happen to your feeling. Like, our mind just tells so many stories about it. So what happens is we're going through life, we feel more and more weighed down, more and more restrictive, and we deeply, deeply, intuitively know that that's not us. We even see that. You see that in our language. It's reflected in our language all the time. We say things like, I'm not feeling like myself. I just want to get back to life. I want to get back to me. We're on this kind of search in some way to feel like we're back at home in our own lives. And I say back at home in our own lives, like, that's super meaningful here. It's super important to see that, because we do have a home within all of us that is completely healthy, habit-free, anxiety-free, full of peace. And when we don't feel that, which is often and regular at times, that's okay. When we don't feel that as humans, we will do anything we can to get back there, because it feels like home. Now, there's where it's like evidence. It's like, wow, if we weren't innately healthy and well, what would we be scrambling back toward? It wouldn't make any sense. We would never say, I want to feel like myself again. That wouldn't make any sense, but that is what we say, and it does make sense. So it's like looking at what happens. We get heavy and weighed down and bogged down, and we don't feel well. And we know on some level that's not how it's meant to be, or that there's a nicer place for us to be, that that's not us, that that's not home. And so we do anything we can see to do from all that thinking we're in. We do anything we can see to do to help us get closer to home. Now, we don't go about this in full wisdom and common sense, and with like we don't do this logically. We grab for things. We're not home, and we know it, and we need to feel okay now, right? So that's where the habits come in. We grab for the food or the drink or the working or the affairs or the shopping or whatever it is, or even with anxiety, we come up with a strategy. We're going to think it through. We'll worry enough to where we'll find a solution, whatever. Again, it's not logical, but every single thing we're reaching for, that we're getting tangled up in and caught up in, is our attempt to get closer to home, which we know as a healthy, well, free place. So our habits are a solution that we reach for so that we can feel like our healthy selves again. The problem is that we get really caught up in what we're doing because it's right in our faces, right? So we're like, oh, I drank this much last night. I ate that. I spent this much time here. I did this. We get, obviously, right? We live in this physical world. We get very focused on and caught up in what we're doing, in what's around us. And then that starts to look like a problem. And it does. These things do create problems in our lives, right? They wreck our health and our finances and our family life and all our relationships. So they do create problems. But we get fixated there and we say, oh, I need this thing. This thing helps me feel better. That's our first kind of mistake, right? Like this innocent misunderstanding of this thing helped me feel better. I feel horrible. I eat. I feel better. I feel horrible, I drink, I work, whatever, I feel better. So that thing starts looking, that behavior or thing starts looking like the thing we need in order to get closer to home. And then we start focusing on it and say, oh, but now I need this, and now that's another problem I have. So you get in this cycle that is just a mess. It's exhausting, it's demoralizing. We start feeling more and more like we have some problem that needs to be fixed. We are broken, we are flawed. And so what does that do? That makes you feel worse and worse, and that makes your mind go out and say, well, what can I do to feel better, right? You just see the cycle going over and over again. So in this first insight, and there's going to be more of these, and I want to help unpack this more and more, but I just want to leave you after this first insight with, what if all the stuff that looks like such a problem in your life that you do, all your bad habits, all your worry habits, all of that stuff, is actually your best attempt at a solution? What if it is, from all that thinking, the best you can see to do, the best your mind knows to do, to toss out, to help you get a little closer to home, to help just take the edge off and help you feel a little bit better? That starts to really sit with that. Like, what if it works that way? So you aren't broken, you aren't flawed, you don't have to beat yourself into submission and bring out the willpower and discipline to fight this bad habit. It flips that completely on its head. No, you are healthy. You are fine. You are full of health, so much so that not feeling that health sets off all these alarm bells, and you want to feel like yourself again, right? You want to get closer to home. So it starts to completely turn around the way we've been thinking about it. And it allows you to take a deep breath, relax for a minute, bring in some compassion, a little bit of compassion and understanding. And that is everything when you start to relax into letting some of these habits, letting some of these thought habits and behavioral habits fall away from you because they're no longer needed. So I will be back weekly in the next few weeks with more insights. Sit with this one, re-listen. If you want to see more about the Little School of Big Change, go to thelittleschoolofbigchange.com. Tons of information there. And I would love to see you in class on September 23rd. Thanks for listening.